Morning campers, or whatever time of day it is wherever you are. Hope you're well. It's currently, I think it's Tuesday in the leer of our yard. I'm driving today. It's 2024 apparently. Quite a few. Yeah, as the boys have had to go back to school today, which always fills me full of mixed emotions. On the one hand, they're extremely happy because they get to hang out with all their friends and take the piss out of the teachers, and they're actually excited about some of the things, some of the classes they're doing. But of course, as I sent them off this morning, which was weird because they wanted a walk and they normally want a lift, but today they wanted to walk because they're all excited to be with their friends again. This is the big problem with schooling. If you don't know, I did homeschool my kids for, well, I actually set up 2 schools in Marrakesh when we lived in Morocco, and it was successful in a lot of ways and not successful in other ways. The biggest problem was the socialization. The draw for teenagers to have friends is stronger than any parent's desire to school them, especially if they're already in that system. I mean, they were lonely, really. They wanted to hang out with other people. And there is a lot to that. I was actually having this conversation last night that homeschooling is great in many ways, but really kids need to be with other kids. It's just the framework that we give to them needs to be one of unschooling and freedom to choose subjects, and giving them lots of outdoor activities, teaching them how to do useful things like fix engines, light fires, catch rabbits, fish, sewing, stuff that you actually need to do in life. And of course teaching them the truth about things like the financial system, etc., etc. But this whole spiritual war is one where all of us have to compromise in one way or another, and this is my compromise. If you've watched or listened to my show for any period of time, you'll know that I always say to them, question everything, including this. Have a nice day in prison. And remember, you're going to have to unlearn everything they're teaching you. Now, I've been saying this for years to my kids, and I didn't realise how much it had rubbed off until my eldest boy is now 20 and my eldest girl is nearly 18. I hear them repeating back to their friends and to me lots of things that they've learned from me over the years. So it does work. If you're a parent, perseverance is key. But anyway, interesting morning on social media. The usual, I say usual, we're kind of used to craziness in terms of what's going on geopolitically. Of course, we had Robert F. Kennedy at the weekend joining forces with Donald Trump. Now, I said on my show a number of times since RFK stood for office that him and Trump are working together. And if you think about it, it makes sense. There was no way. There's a large base of Democrats who are decent people who still can't see the evil that's in the demon rats as a party. I'm not saying there's none in the Republicans, but the whole party system is nonsense. But the point is that there's millions of people that would never vote for Donald Trump, ever, not in a million years. Doesn't matter how much evil you show, doesn't matter how much of the track record of him being president is shown to them, they just won't do it. So I think RFK was created as a limited hangout using the same techniques that they've used against us for forever, against them. Same MK Ultra kind of techniques to deprogram us. And I think RFK was part of that. And put him up as presidential candidate, and then achieved the things he did during that candidacy, which, you know, and to show up the fact that the Democrats basically made it impossible for him to become president. And then to highlight, you know, all the things that he's been highlighting over the years, the genuine ecological disasters on the planet that are not humans' fault. It's the fault of the owners. This is the thing we have to get past. As somebody was saying to me not long ago, yeah, but we are destroying the planet. Well, no, I'm not, and you're not. The only destruction of the planet that's going on is by the Cabal. And yeah, if you work for a corporation that assists in that, then you are assisting with that. But driving a petrol car or eating meat is not destroying the planet. I can say that with 100% confidence. And also what RFK has been doing in terms of vaccines, just fabulous to have that voice now aligned with Trump. And of course, members of his family would shout out about this and disassociate, because that's part of the movie. You're not going to believe the plot if, you know, suddenly the whole Kennedy family switches over to a Republican. You know, you've got to show people things that they believe in, otherwise it won't work, right? And, you know, go back 3 or 4 years to the Kennedy children on that video. I don't know if you saw it. I'm yelling timber. I don't actually know that song. I'm just reciting what I saw in the video. I did look it up a while ago, but they're all they're all kind of spliced together singing this song. I'm yelling timber. And at the time, the consensus amongst people like me was they were celebrating the downfall of George H.W. Bush. I think it was after his funeral. And that funeral, of course, is where all the chief bad guys in the government were handed that envelope, the contents of which nobody's confirmed for true, but, you know, the received opinion is that it said they have everything, I'm sorry, along those lines. And George H.W. Bush's code name, CIA code name, was Timber Wolf. So it was like they were celebrating the felling of the tree and the timber wolf. So, you know, there's the connection between Kennedy and Trump is deep and long held. But there was also interesting reading today by Garly Lucy. If you watch my channel, if you go to theMarkAttwoodShow.com and type in Garly, G-A-L-I, and then Lucy, L-U-C-Y, you'll find a number of videos that I've done over the last 4 years with her. And she's a medium and a writer and a singer, a brilliant singer, songwriter actually, who channels, and was reading tarot cards recently, and the headlines of the tarot reading were that there are multiple Trumps. Now, I've been saying for quite a long time there are multiple Trumps, without question. It makes sense that there'd be multiple Trumps. And the Trump show that we're seeing is a show as much as anything else, because I've known that the character of Donald Trump has spoken in code for at least 8 years now, and he's continuing to do so. But there's definitely more than one Trump. I mean, you only got to look at the rallies. The guy with the baseball cap is usually a different guy. The guy that I met in Ireland, I'm still not 100% sure that was the real Trump, even though Janine read cards and said it was. And I'm not disputing Janine's powers at all. You just don't actually know, and that's the brilliance of this, what we're going through. And Garly Lucy said that the original Donald Trump was not good and has been gone for a long time. I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that Garly Lucy is definitely tapped in and has a lot of truths to say, even though a lot of them are quite depressing. But that does tie in with some other people that I've spoken to over the years, namely Kent Dunn, when I did shows with Kent Dunn, who's another interesting character who says he's a Pleiadian. I think he says he's a Pleiadian, and he flies on the ships and stuff like that. Now, he told me off camera that the original Trump was dead. Now, I don't want to believe that the original Trump is dead. I want to believe the original Trump is alive, and that's what we're seeing in the main. But it would make sense. This is a very, very deep and complicated scenario that we're in, and having a controllable figurehead to corral freedom-loving people. David, I would say that that's all part of the Cabal's plan. I would say it's part of God's plan. You know, if we think we can do this on our own, then we're deluding ourselves. We do need some sort of organisation to go up against the organised and financially limitless Cabal, and I think that is happening with off-world help. And you know, there are surprises in store for all of us. I've been saying that for a long time as well, that even all the truth seekers, whatever you want to call us, that are out there, I think will be shocked at the depths and level of this war, the facts. And the other thing that Gali Lucy said was that 8 million people, at least, I think she said 8 million, millions anyway, have already been executed. Now that does make sense to me, because we have been watching a movie. I mean, Keir Starmer in the UK, Macron in France, all these other leaders from around the world, they're all, Fidel Castro's son in Canada, I think they've all been replaced quite a long time ago by actors, clones, whatever. It doesn't make any difference really what the medium is, but they're definitely under control, because the people did not wake up with COVID, right? Millions of people have been murdered by the COVID vaccine. There's no question about that. COVID was a scam. You cannot catch a virus. COVID was a patented virus, same as monkeypox or mpox as they've rebranded it. You know, these things are clear as the nose on your face. And people say, well, how can the White Hats be in control if all these people died and child trafficking is still going on and vaccines still happened? Well, I concur with Gali Lucy and with Q on this. You have to show people. You cannot wake people up with facts. They just, if they're back with the RFK thing, you can't wake people up with facts. You've got to show them, and you've got to lead them towards their own conclusions. They have to find out themselves. They have to feel it. They have to see it. You know, in Britain now, obviously we've got a communist prime minister who's allowing Sharia law to take over. You know, it's a takeover, the same as in Ireland. It's a takeover, and that's not a racist thing. I'm not anti-immigration. What I am against, as anybody with a rational mind, including a lot of Muslims that are speaking out about this now, there's an immigration problem, because there's just hundreds of thousands of these guys, and including the US border, that are from all over the world, that have nothing to do with, you know, being refugees from wars, who are young men of fighting age. Do I think these guys are going to be turned into UN soldiers and activated on the street? I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, there's a load of Somalians in the town where I am, and I'm telling you, they're not soldiers. They're certainly not soldiers. I know a soldier when I see one. But, you know, could they be donning a uniform with a gun and then do stuff? I don't know. But I don't live in that timeline. I don't live in that fear. If it happens, it happens. I'm not afraid. But, you know, I think the way that this is going to unfold in the next few months is going to blow away a lot of us. There's going to be a lot of surprises, things that we didn't see coming. I did see RFK Jr. and Trump coming together at some point. So I was not surprised when that happened, and I was mightily pleased. I was also mightily pleased by RFK's tweet about the chemtrails, and we're going to stop this criminal act. You know, this is the way to bring these things to the fore. If it was just Donald Trump doing it all on his own, obviously there's huge resistance against him. You know, and it brings into question the assassination attempt. You know, what was it staged to create this this hero? Well, if it was for the greater good, and I mean that in the true sense, then I'm all for it. Because, and interestingly, he's just brought out a book. I think it's a picture book, and I think the front cover is that picture on the front cover. He's going fight, fight, fight. And in many respects, it doesn't matter whether that's the real Trump or not, right? What matters is that whatever is being done to remove the cabal and to end child trafficking, to end satanic ritual abuse, murder, to end the adrenochrome business. I call it a business, it's more than that. To end the tyranny, to end financial tyranny. You know, there's like millions of people believe in the RV happening, and I think the RV is the answer. You know, what's the easiest way to get everybody to go home? It's to make home rich, and for you to claim your money from your original home, you have to go home. You won't need a deportation program. People will just go on their own. That would end it overnight if you got parity between all the currencies overnight. And the way that the BRICS is moving, and the way that XRP is moving, these things do line up for me. You could say, well, it's all part of the digital currency. I don't think that's going to happen. And you've got to keep coming back to the fact that we were all supposed to have been taken out in 2017, a vast majority of us, by a nuclear war, via Hillary Clinton. That's why there were all the concentration camps and all the guillotines and everything. That was the plan. That had to be seen by a lot of us in order to activate us to be talking about all of this stuff for all of this time. That was the plan, but we dodged that bullet, which is just a fact. Unless we're already dead and this is just a dream, in which case it doesn't matter either. But it's finding that strength of that sovereign feeling. So it's sovereignty, as many of you listen to me will know, from my point of view, is about taking responsibility for not just your wealth and your health, it's also your emotions and your thoughts and your spirituality. And, you know, that's what Q was about. I think it was to activate enough people to look into these things, like Pizzagate and Podesta's emails and Hillary Clinton and Obama's hot dogs and all that kind of stuff, and to leave clues so that people would think for themselves and look for their own stuff, and then that stuff would be scrutinised by other anons. So it was a brilliant reverse brainwashing psyop in that respect, and I think billions of lives have been saved by Q and by Trump, or the character of Trump. But you know, even that gets. I've got a good friend of mine, well, somebody that I've known for quite a long time, who just refuses to listen to Trump because of Operation Warp Speed. But what if Operation Warp Speed actually saved billions of lives? I mean, Trump says it himself. I've saved billions and billions of lives. And I think that military operation represented by Trump and Q has saved billions of lives. And the last 4 years since the character of Joe Biden, because there's no way. Joe's gone. Where's Joe? Joe's gone. He's gonzo. Gonzo. You know, Trump even said that at the weekend. He's gonzo. I love it, because he said that about 3 or 4 years ago, and I just think it's hilarious. That wasn't Biden. That Harris is not. Whatever. You know, this fat idiot. Tampon Tim, he's what the fuck is he? You know, these are all characters there just to show what communism would look like. It's communism light. I mean, what we've seen has been lots of threats of stuff, and we've seen lots of deaths, and we've seen murders, some of which may or may not be real. I don't know, unless you were there and you actually saw the knife go in. You know, was it real? I don't know. And you've got to keep an open mind with this stuff, because it's all about the bigger picture. And what is the bigger picture? The bigger picture is that the human race, in order to ascend, which is definitely happening. I mean, the illnesses that I've seen happen locally, like en masse, and then I posted this on Twitter, and I did a thing on Substack about it. Diary of a Conspiracy Theorist.substack.com. Please subscribe there. Consider a paid subscription if you can. I won't hold it against you if you don't, but I had to cancel every paid subscription a couple of months ago because of an issue with Stripe, and not all of them will come back. So if you can pay to subscribe to that, I put a lot of work into it, but it's not compulsory. All my content is free unless it's a course or whatever, and then it's usually donation based anyway, so I'm not trying to screw anybody. It's just, this is my full-time job now, so if you Substack is the main sort of place for that if you want to support my work. But yeah, I did a video saying you know, all these people getting ill at the same time. This is anecdotal. There's just like 2 or 3 people on the same day all called in sick, or rang me, or came to my house and said, look, this is happening, and the health centre, sorry, it still makes me laugh. The irony, the inversion. Health centres, hospitals, stay away from both. Fucking hell. The only reason I'd ever go to a hospital is if I've broken bone. And even then I'd be shitting myself, and I'd take an army of friends and family with me to make sure they didn't vax me or anything. But I put a thing up saying, look, this illness is all going on at the same time. And then I said, look, I don't know what's causing it. Is it 5G? Is it radiation? Is it ascension? Is it vaccines? What is it? Is it the chemtrails, etc.? Because all of these things are possible. And I think all of them are literally possible and probably happening on different timelines that have converged. But what I said, look, there's some things that I do know that are useful, one of which is liposomal vitamin C, curcumin, bromelain, nattokinase. All of these things are useful, and then people put up some interesting feedback from that. The videos had over 120,000 views on Twitter and or X, and people have said similar things are going on wherever they are in the world. So it's not just this town in the west of Ireland, it's all over the place that people are noticing this. And then some people have questioned the validity of things like vitamin C. Now, I very specifically said liposomal vitamin C. The vitamin C that you get in the pharmacies are full of shit and not to be trusted. But the big issue, and I know the vitamin C, the liposomal vitamin C that I talk about, I am literally talking about it from the point of view of what I've seen it do, including in myself. When I got hit with something a couple of years ago, I took this particular liposomal vitamin C every hour, and 3 hours later I was right as rain, and 3 hours earlier I couldn't get out of bed. So I've seen what it can do for me, and I've also I work with a woman in Dublin called Jackie. I've had her on my show a few times, and the same liposomal vitamin C has seen people in hospices with terminal cancer get up and walk out and live for years after taking lots of it. So I know people are sort of questioning vitamin C, but again, the reason why I've not put links to anything in these videos is because I'm trying to do the same thing as Q in that respect. You've got to go and look for yourself, you've got to do your own research. I'm not the oracle, I'm not a guru, but I can tell you from my own experience, liposomal vitamin C has been very powerful. Same with nattokinase, the same with curcumin, and the same with bromelain. Borax as well. I should have added borax into that. I should have added chlorine dioxide into that. But these are things that, you'll be led to these things when you're ready for the information. That's the way it works. I'm not there to spoon feed anybody. It's like this morning I put up on Telegram that I watched a film last night called Arthur the King, which is a Mark Wahlberg film that's just come out, and I happened across it on Amazon Prime. Decided to watch it because it was not violent. My girlfriend was like, I don't want to watch a violent film, so I watched this film about this dog. And these guys that this particular character, based on a true story, who did these adventure races, which involves 400 miles of running and kayaking and mountain climbing and crazy stuff. And this is a true story apparently of a guy that did this one last time, because he'd always not won for 20 years. He'd been doing it and never won a race because he was so bloody minded that it usually get him into trouble. Anyway, it was well put together, but there was a dog in it, and the dog, we got introduced to the dog before him, really, and the dog was living a bit of a rough life on the streets and was injured, on the run from other dogs, and turned up anyway halfway through this race, and Mark Wahlberg gave him a couple of meatballs, and then 200 miles later the dog turns up and saves their lives, and they're like, how did the dog get here? And that's like part of the magic of the film, is that there's no explanation of how the dog got to that point. And then basically the dog goes with them, and he's part of the team, and Mark Wahlberg's character falls in love. They all fall in love with the dog, and they call the dog Arthur, the king, because he's such a noble animal, and it was such a beautiful story. And then right at the end of the race, I won't spoil it for you, but anyway, it's a beautiful film. It's all about love, overcoming everything. It's about magic, it's about family, pure white hat film. And then somebody put up, why is it white hat film? And I'm like, I don't have to explain things like that, you've got to work it out yourself. Plus I've got so many fucking trolls and stalkers and weirdos that I just don't get involved anymore. I learned that a few years ago. I have boundaries now that I never used to have, and I'm very happy about that. So if you're one of those weirdos, then that's why I don't contact you back. But yeah, I hope you're feeling positive as I am, although the energies have been extreme in the last few months, in fact all year, but in the last few months they've gone up a notch. I mean, I have felt, now I don't know about shedding, I don't know how much of it is in our mind, but I do know that I have experienced something physical in reaction to touching a lovely woman who came into the clinic actually, and she'd been vaxxed 3 times, and I shook her hand and I helped her into the hyperbaric oxygen chamber, and she's an absolute angel of a woman, but she'd taken all these vaxes. And after that I got a thing in my leg that it was like a phone was in my pocket on vibrate, and it was going off all the time, but there was no phone there, and it was in my left leg. And also there was a day last Sunday, I think it was, where I was very, very flat and lots of negative thoughts in my head, which I never have. Honestly, I'm the most positive person I've ever met, and I never have these thoughts, and I was like, something's not right here. And it was like artificial demonic possession. That's all I could describe it as, really. So I took the bromelain and the borax and the curcumin and all these good nattokinase and all of that stuff, and the chlorine dioxide, and it, after 2 days it went away. So I don't know if you're experiencing stuff like that. The shedding does, from my experience, does seem like a real thing, and that's an issue. But it's also the energy. I mean, especially in the west of Ireland, it's been the worst August weather-wise in my life. It's just rained and rained and rained, and it's been overcast for 90% of the month. I think that's good guys hiding stuff, personally, but I am an apocalypse optimist. Other people say, oh, it's the bad guys, it's the chemtrails, da da da. Yeah, but Helena Fleming came around the other day and she said, well, if it is the radiation and it is the 5G and it is the chemtrails, why aren't the animals sick? And I thought that was a very good point, because my cat, Midnight, has been super chipper the last 3 months, and a different animal actually in many ways. She's been much softer, much more loving. Even the kids have said this is like new Midnight, and that was after a week or so of being really ill. And very strangely ill. It was like she couldn't walk properly, she couldn't jump up on things, she was really melancholy. But then I did use the that pet sauce that Dale brought over from California, and that did help her a lot. I'm going to do a show about that soon, because it was quite shocking how Midnight returned to health. It was really interesting. Is it part of ascension? Has the cats ascended? Well, they do live in multiple dimensions, don't they, cats? And they are here to teach us, so I do pay attention. The same as that dog was there to teach Mark Wahlberg's character in that excellent film. So whatever you're doing today, I hope you keep chipper and keep focused on yourself, because if we don't take care of ourselves, then we're not going to be any good to the others, are we? And when the big awakening happens, which I think is imminent, they're going to need us. And so stay strong and stay healthy, stay happy and keep smiling. God bless you.